Not sure how much they deserved it, but a win is a win. Sabres over Flyers. Recapping it next here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. 5-2, Sabres over the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll recap it all here on today's show. I got a thought on Peyton Krebs to get to, and also neck guards. There were a couple of Sabre players that spoke and even used neck guards with what's happening in the hockey world. The tragic death of Adam Johnson in England. I want to spend the last portion of today's show on that because Rasmus Dahlin, Casey Middlestat, others spoke on that or used a neck guard on Wednesday against the Flyers, and I didn't even realize. So that coming up a little bit later on, but got to kick off the show today. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Sneaky Joe Sports. Check out the YouTube channel where you can watch the show there. You can get involved with us there as well. This is a game to give more admiration towards Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. What a game by Luukkonen. And he is the only real reason that the Sabres beat the Philadelphia Flyers on Wednesday night. Luukkonen was tremendous. The Sabres were outshot in this game 40-15. Looking at some of the numbers, 40-15. 0 for 3 on the power play was Philadelphia. The penalty kill continues to play tremendous. Scoring chances at 5-on-5 in this game. 25 for Philly, 11 for Buffalo. Shot attempts at 5-on-5. 61 for Philadelphia to Buffalo's 33. Expected goals for in this game, 2.9 for Philadelphia. 2.1 for the Sabres. Now, part of the reason that was a little bit closer is while the Flyers were pressing in the third period, they had 20 shots on goal in the third period. The Sabres defense did a pretty good job keeping them at the wall, not letting them into the slot, not letting them into the prime scoring chances. But Luukkonen stood on his head at times. A 2-on-0. The Flyers come in, and Garnet Hathaway has an open one-timer on the side. And Luukkonen just very calmly goes from his right to his left. He sticks the pad out, even though he's very deep in his crease, and he makes a tremendous save. He stops 38 of 40 shots. That is a .950 save percentage. And as I just went through the expected goals for the Flyers in that game, all situations was 2.9. So Luukkonen comes away with 0.9 goals saved over expected. Almost a full goal saved over what was expected. And that's a lot for one game. And now, remember last week, going into the weekend, I did a show called Goalie Already a Problem for the Sabres. The day I did that show, Luukkonen ranked 60th out of 68 goaltenders in goals saved above expected. And after the last two games, out of 70 goalies, he is now 22nd. He has gone from 60th to 22nd with two incredible starts. He is continuing to track the puck well, I think, in these two games has been his best quality. He is not giving up giant rebounds. And again, he's making big saves at big times. In this game, one of the goals that finds its way past Luukkonen isn't even really a shot on goal. I almost want to say he stopped 39 of 40 shots. I don't know if they counted it as a shot, but the first goal is not a shot on goal. That's an attempted pass by Joel Farabee that Henry Jokiharju sticks his stick out. And you know what? Jokiharju's trying to make an effort play there. No harm from him. He's just trying to break it up. But the puck goes off his stick just right so that it lofts over Luukkonen's shoulder and it goes into the net. It's not his fault. It's not Jokiharju's fault either. That's just a bad break. So Luukkonen really only let the one goal in, I thought, that beat him, which was the Cam Atkinson goal. He played great. He is playing like, I hesitate to say this, but he's playing like a number one. He's not unbelievable. Again, he's 22nd. He's not second. He's 22nd, which is good. That's an average starting goalie in the NHL. Which, man, they get that performance out of Luukkonen on the regular, and we are talking about a guy that's going to be pushing Devin Levi all season for starts and is going to make them really make a decision about Eric Comrie. Now, I am one of his biggest critics, and I'd be the first one to tell you that I'm loving what I'm seeing, but I'm not betting that we're going to see it for the whole year. I think there is going to be regression coming, and that this player has been up and down many times throughout his career, and I think there will be down. It's going to happen, but let's ride this wave as long as it goes, right? And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is no down coming. If there's no down coming, though, we're talking about Luukkonen challenging Levi to be the team's future number one goaltender. Another reason why I'm not really projecting that's going to happen. Last 2 games, 63 shots faced, and he stopped all but 2. 2 goals allowed against Colorado and Philadelphia. Great job by Luukkonen. Now, quickly, we'll talk more about this on our next show. Friday and Saturday, you got the Flyers again on Friday, you get the Leafs on Saturday. I think you go right back to Luukkonen. I think you go back to Luukkonen against the Flyers. You give Levi that extra day of rest, that extra day to get back from the injury, and you go with him in Toronto on Saturday night. That would be what I do. Either way, though, I think you could argue either side. I'm not even sure it matters all that much because both guys are going to get one start, and we'll see what Granato ends up doing. The Sabres, though, 5-2. Wasn't all Luukkonen. There's a lot of Luukkonen. They got outplayed. But pretty simply put, this is where it's nice to see that the Sabres are a team that once in a while you'd like to have their goalie be able to bail them out. They are gonna have games like this where they get run over. And run over, they got outplayed. 40-15 was the shot disparity. It wasn't that bad, as bad as that number shows at the end of the day. But they definitely got outplayed. They definitely should have lost. Philadelphia, that's second period. Neither team really could do anything, right? Like the Flyers, I think, saw after the first, we can't trade chances with this team. We can't do it. They were lucky to not be down 3-1. The first period, where everything was a little bit more even. Shot attempts were only 23-18 in favor of Philadelphia. Scoring chances were 8-6. High danger chances were 4-3. It was pretty close. The Sabres had a goal taken off the board by Jeff Skinner on an offside challenge that was this close, razor thin. And they were half a foot away from being down 3-1, 3-2, I should say. But they were lucky on their own. I mentioned that first goal by Joel Farabee. That's just a break. That goes off a stick over a goalie's shoulder when the guy's trying to pass it. That game should have been 3-1 after 20 minutes of hockey. And I think what John Tortorella saw was, all right, we can't go up and down the ice with this team. We got to play low event hockey. We got to keep things close to the chest. So what'd they do? Second period was just a slop fest. It was gross hockey. Nobody was getting any chances. Nobody was establishing possession. So many bad plays in the neutral zone. And both teams got away from that 2-2. And third period, I know Philadelphia outplayed them, but hey, the Sabres got a little lucky, right? Not only did their goalie bail them out and Luukkonen, but Carter Hart got hurt in the first period. And third period, man, Philadelphia's netminder, Ersson, really let them down. Not all those goals were his fault, but he allowed 2 goals on, 3 shots at one point in time. Nice goal by Tage Thompson. Nice goal by Owen Power. We'll break those down a little bit more when we come back. And also, I want to have a thought about Peyton Krebs. Krebs gets on the board for the season. And even the point he had last night is not one that you almost even want to count. What's going on with him? But there's also some underlying numbers to show maybe he's okay. And then net guards. That's coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Sleeper. Check out the Sleeper app the next time the Sabres play on Friday. Hey, maybe you want to go over a certain amount of shots on, hey, what about Brandon Biro? 2 goals for him. You might want to catch the wave on Brandon Biro. Check it out. Go to Sleeper. You could win big playing daily fantasy hockey, the official daily fantasy hockey app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you got to do, pick whether studs like McKinnon and McDavid and Ovechkin will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, shots, plus, minus, and more. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me. 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleepers. So start paying attention, nail your picks, and you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You're going to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleepers terms of use for details and locational availability. Sneaky Joe DiBiase in the Locked On Sabres podcast. Sabres 5, Flyers 2. Buffalo improves to 5-5 on the season. Philadelphia drops to 4-5-1. Some nice goals in this game. Starting off with Casey Mittelstadt. Another goal by Mittelstadt. He also added an assist on the empty netter. Mittelstadt, now with this game, has 40 points in his last 41 games. And since March, he's one of the highest scoring even strength players in the league. But a point per game pace over a 41 game stretch now is pretty incredible for Mittelstadt. Another great game from him. Peterka and Skinner getting the assist on his goal. That was like a very odd tic-tac-toe. Skinner to Peterka to Mittelstadt goal. But everyone was fumbling the puck along the way. It went off a skate. Peterka kind of slapped at it, but it doesn't matter. They got it to each other, and they found its way into the back of the net. A nice finish by Mittelstadt. Brandon Biro scores his first career NHL goal in only his second game. He then added the empty netter later for his second goal. The first goal, though, he's playing on the line with Tage Thompson and Jordan Greenway there. That line eventually got broken up, and Alex Tuch was put in Biro's place. But that's a great play. Greenway keeping the play alive, gets it down low to Tage Thompson, and Thompson gives the feed to Biro. Allows him to make a play. And Biro, who is being tackled from behind by the Flyer defenseman, hangs in there, stays in the crease, scores a goal in the dirty area, and is able to put it behind the goaltender for his first of the year, which made it 2-1 at that point in time. Owen Power with the game-winning goal early in the third period, only 3 minutes in. And this is a goal I have not really seen Owen Power score yet. I don't know that I've ever seen a shot this good from Owen Power. It is a 3-on-2. They broke it down well on TNT, where the Flyers had, I believe, Travis Sanheim and Cam Atkinson back. You had a forward back playing defense, and Atkinson did not do a good job of switching with the defenseman when the Sabres crossed. Tage Thompson goes from left to right. Greenway shoots to the net, and Power drops in behind Tage. Tage knows that. He probably sees the Flyer players getting crossed up. He leaves it for Power. Power, now here you go. This is an opportunity he gets a lot. Open wrist shot from the slot, scoring opportunity. And oftentimes you will not see Power score that because he doesn't have the greatest shot. But here, man, perfect. Hard, low, posting in on the glove side of the goaltender. That is a shooter's shot. I don't think Power's going to score a lot of those. I don't think his shot is at that point yet, but it's nice to see he's even capable of a shot like that, of a finish like that, because again, for how smart he is, for how fast he is, how good a skater he is, his instincts, he's going to find himself in those situations. And I know he's not going to score all of them because he's not a natural finisher. But once in a while, you want him to give you that shot. And it was nice to see that he could do it at least once in a while. Big goal from him. Thompson and Tuch on the assists. Tage Thompson then finishes it off, right? Makes it 4-2. That was big. The Sabres were hemmed up in their own end for a lot of that third period. And Thompson gets an opportunity left side of the goaltender, and he just rips it past him for his 5th goal of the year. Thompson continues to play great. He had a goal and 2 assists on the night here for a 3-point effort. And that brings us to our 3 stars of the game. Biro, I mentioned the empty netter. Number 1 star, undoubtedly, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. These are, by the way, according to me, not what the game said. I believe the 3 stars for the game were Luukkonen, Power, and Atkinson. I went Luukkonen as star number 1, 38 saves on 40 shots. I'm going Tage as star number 2, 3-point night, goal and 2 assists, including a big, important goal to get the Flyers off their backs in the third period. And then I'm going Henri Jokiharju as the 3rd star. I originally had Krebs on there, but I want to talk about him in a second. I backed off that because after further review, I think I jumped the gun a little bit on how well a game he had. I've done that a couple times this year. But I'm going Jokiharju. Jokiharju, maybe there needs to be an apology for him. He's had a really nice season. He led the Sabres with 5 shots on goal in this game. They only had 15. He had a third of their shots. He also was the only defenseman on the Sabres that was in the positive for expected goals for. Just barely above, but 50.2%. He was the number one Sabres defenseman on the night in that area. And I thought he did well, both on the penalty kill. He only got one shift I saw on the penalty kill, but he did well on it. He also, played almost 20 minutes on the night, the fourth most ice time, so played in the top four. I've liked him this year. He looks a little bit more mobile, a little bit more dynamic, and I'm not seeing him make big mistakes, which is good. Like, honestly, Jokiharju's not a flashy player. You really want to not have to notice him. If you don't notice Henri Jokiharju, I think that's a good thing. And, he's got a future that is going to have to be talked about at some point. He kind of flies under the radar, right? Because he's a young guy. He's a former first-round pick. He kind of fell out of favor. Not even fell out of favor. He just kind of regressed a little bit from his first season with the Sabres. But this year so far, he's bouncing back. And I thought last night was one of his best games of the year. And the numbers show that too. So good job by Jokiharju, I thought, on the night. All right, those are our 3 stars. Here, Krebs. Krebs, I want to just talk about very quickly here. I don't know what to do with him. He gets an assist on the night, but it's a secondary assist on the empty netter. Krebs hadn't had a point before that. He still really doesn't have a real point on the season, and we are 10 games into the year. And that's not what he's been tasked with, I know. He has been tasked with, can you become the shutdown centerman that this team doesn't have? And he's done a fairly decent job at it. But Krebs is supposed to, and I believe does have, legitimate offensive ability. He was drafted in the middle of the first round for that reason. We do see flashes of it, right? Last year, wearing the black and red, flying down the slot, roofs one, top shelf against the Lightning. Some of the passes that he's able to execute. You see his ability on the wall. He's got quickness. He's got fast hands. The playmaking ability against Minnesota last year in overtime. He comes down the wing, he draws the defenseman in, and then he who puts a one-timer in for the winner. Like, Krebs shows ability at times, but why is he not producing? And it's not just, like I had been saying all offseason, it's not just that he only gets to play with Girgensons and Okposo. A lot of times that's true, but not as much this year. They've given him opportunity. They've given him opportunity to be able to get up there with some more, offensive players, playing a little bit with Peterka. Remember, he was playing on the wing for a while with Dylan Cousins. And like, all right, man, that's your opportunity. Top 6 role. You're getting power play minutes on the second unit. Like, where is the production? And I don't see it. And I'm starting to get a little worried. Maybe they've gone too far with with him being asked to be defensive. I don't know, but something's got to give a little bit. I think you got to see a little bit more production from him. It's not enough to just be a pretty good defensive player, because like Tyson Jost, like, there's guys banging on the door to get in this lineup. Matthew Savoy eventually is going to show up. Benson will return at some point. In fact, this year at 5-on-5, Peyton Krebs is most common line mate by a lot at forward. He's played 58 minutes with JJ Peterka. That's an offensive guy that spent all last year in the top 6. He's got 4 goals on the year. Why is there no production? 58 minutes with Peterka, by the way. The next closest forward is Okposo at 37 minutes. There's a massive jump from Okposo to Peterka. So he's played, 25 minutes with Olofsson. He's played 20 minutes with Cousins, 15 minutes with Middlestat. He's getting some opportunity with these guys, and it's really not happening. I'd like to see it improve because I like Krebs. I think there's potential there. And I know it's been harder for him to develop than others because, hey, Cousins got to be put right in the top 6. Thompson got put right in the top 6. Peterka and Quinn got put right in the top 6. That didn't happen with Krebs. But you know what? Even though it was a little harder for you, you got to do better than 0 points. And I'm going to asterisk on the 1 point. He's basically got 0 points in 10 games played. All right, timeout here. Net guards. Interesting thing happened on Wednesday when the Sabres beat the Flyers. That's coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Indeed. When you're drafting your fantasy team, do you ever wish you do the same thing with your business team? If you're building a roster to win the league, you need Indeed. Indeed knows when you're growing your own business, you have to make every dollar count. That's why with Indeed, you only pay for quality applications that match your must-have job requirements. Indeed does the hard work for you. Sponsor a job and boom, instant match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your job description immediately after you post. With instant match, you can start hiring fast. Indeed knows hiring needs to be cost effective when you're running your own business. Indeed knows that when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. So visit Indeed.com/lockedon. Start hiring now. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. This episode of Locked On Sabres is also brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, this is the time to get in on the action. There's some great future props out there. Hey, you want to take a look at Tage Thompson to win the Hart Trophy? You want to look at the Sabres to make the playoffs? Well, you can still get that at plus money. There's also spreads, player props for individual games if you don't want to wait all that long, over-unders as well. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. Final segment here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. So the Sabres beat the Flyers Wednesday night. Quick look at the standings, by the way. The Sabres jump a bunch of teams. They jump Florida. They jump Washington. They jump Philly. They jump Ottawa, who had a really adventurous day on Wednesday, losing their general manager and a first-round pick in the same day. They jump Columbus also. So now they are only 1 point out of a playoff spot. I know it's early, but they've played one more game. Toronto and Tampa are the teams that they're 1 point behind, 2 behind Montreal, 3 behind Detroit. So they're getting there. They're getting there. They just got to stack some wins together. What's next? Friday night, black and red against the Flyers. Can't lose it, right? I know they lost the Flyers once last year, but that game was postponed from an original date, so it's a little bit different in my mind. Then Saturday against Toronto. I want to get to net guards. Adam Johnson passes away in England during a hockey game, which is, man, if you didn't see my tweet on this, I made the crucial mistake of just being on social media and looking at my timeline, and there was the video of Adam Johnson's death. And I watched it. And I really regret that I had. And I wish I could take it back. It is as graphic as you could possibly imagine. And I would beg anybody that sees it come across their timeline to not watch it. I think you can have an appreciation for him, the issue at hand, and, show your respect to him and his family without having to actually see what happened. So what's been happening around hockey since Adam Johnson passes away is net guards. It takes a skate. It happened. It happened in the world of hockey. So it's become an issue that the NHL is now pushing the NHLPA to adopt, and I think that that's smart. I don't think that you're going to see a mandatory decree that all NHL players have to wear net guards. But what I could see happening is what happened with visors. What happened with visors, if you remember, is they became mandatory in the NHL, but they were grandfathered in. And that happened with helmets too, right? Back in the day, where if you're in the league already and you didn't have this rule when you entered, then you don't have to wear it. Eventually, I think they need to improve the net guards, though. But before I actually get to that, let me finish out the point on grandfathering it in. Make it so, and I might predict this will happen, make it so anyone entering the NHL has to wear net guards. But if you're already in the league, then you can play the rest of your career without having to do it. So that way, everyone entering does it, and eventually, over time, they will be universal. And that, by the way, is starting to happen in youth hockey. It's not every youth hockey organization, I don't believe, but more and more you're seeing in youth hockey where it is mandatory, where kids have to wear them. And as kids wear them, those kids are going to grow up one day to be the NHL players. And if they're used to it, they've grown up with it, then even if it's not mandatory, you'll probably see more people wearing it in the future because they're used to it. Rasmus Dahlin wore one on Wednesday night. I didn't even notice this. I didn't see anything said about it on the broadcast. But Dahlin wore one, and he said after the game that they are mandatory in the Swedish Pro League. So he would have had to wear one when he played for Frölunda before he got drafted by the Sabres. So he wore one. Now he took it off. Dahlin took it off after only a little bit. He said it was too uncomfortable to continue with. His quote was, "It started off with just knowing what's going on. It's super sad what happened. So I tried it out, and it's too bad that I tried it out for the first time during a game, so it didn't last that long. But for sure, I want to use it, and I want someone to develop a nice, breathable neck guard, and in the future, it's going to be a must." So Dahlin, there, you saw it. Like, he wanted to wear it, but, and I've worn one before. I said this on I think recently on the show. I've worn one before, and they are really annoying. Now, again, I didn't grow up with them, so I'm not used to it. They are heavy. They are thick. They are, like, they rub against your neck, too. If you have any facial hair, I don't on my neck, but, like, I can't imagine how annoying they would be. And, playoff beards, man, like, those things happen. So it can be a little bit annoying. And Dahlin, that's basically what happened, right? He said, can someone invent a breathable one? Like, I'll wear it. He said, I'll wear one. I want to wear one, but can someone make a more breathable one? I bet that happens, by the way. After this incident, make something good out of it. It's a tragedy. It's horrible. But take a tragedy and try to make something good out of it, so that, it means something. His death means something in that way, as an honor to him, even. If you save one life, it's worth it. So I hope that, whoever, Bauer, CCM, Reebok, who's making hockey equipment these days still, Nike, I don't think Nike is anymore, but whoever, go start investing in that. Breathable neck guards, and you're going to get more players to use them if you're able to pull that off. Maybe that's easier said than done. Something that could be that protective while also being breathable. I don't know. Maybe that's impossible. But I have to imagine it is possible. If you put enough investment into it, you'll figure it out eventually. Casey Middlestat, by the way, said the same thing. Middlestat said, quote, on the neck guards, "It was very warm. And, this was Dahlin still. It was very warm, and I felt uncomfortable using it. So hopefully someone develops something nicer in the near future." No, that wasn't Middlestat quote. Sorry. Granato said, "I would love that there would be a solution for neck protection for the players. It's not to the point where all these guys are saying, here's a solution. It doesn't affect how I feel or what I do, because all of the protection to this point, the players feel different ways with this on. It doesn't feel comfortable. Otherwise, they'd all be wearing it. So I think while the hockey world is trying to figure that out, meaning the technology behind that, which they are, and I know the league is, I'd love to see the players wear it." I kind of just said that, but Granato put it perfectly. I don't need to say anything more than that, right? He said it. It doesn't feel comfortable, otherwise they'd all be wearing it. So that's the goal. That NHL, NHLPA, equipment companies, let's go. Let's get the players are telling you right now, like, hey, we'll wear it. We want to wear it. We don't want this to ever happen again. Start making one that isn't going to drive us crazy while we're playing the game. And maybe some guys will start wearing them even while it's driving them crazy. I don't know. Didn't Thomas Plekanec wear one forever? I don't even know. All right. Sabres and Flyers again on Friday. So we'll talk to you on Friday. Thanks for listening. This has been the Locked On Sabres podcast. If you want to get involved with the show, on Twitter, at Sneaky Joe Sports, at Locked On Sabres, or you can do it on the YouTube comment section as well. Thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.